Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Matt McFadden, Vice President of Cyber with General Dynamics Information Technology. I'm here today with Ned with CrowdStrike, one of our most important partners to develop advanced cyber capabilities. Hi, Ned.
Hi, Matt. My name is Ned Miller. I'm the Vice President of CrowdStrike's Federal Business Unit. Looking forward to the conversation today.
Cool. So first, one of the topic areas we want to cover is the National Cyber Strategy. There's a lot in it, a bunch of pillars, but I think one of the core focus areas was about how the United States can begin to disrupt threat actors. So Ned, I just want to get your opinion on that.
So great question, Matt. From the CrowdStrike lens, we look at adversaries as part of our core business practice. We have a adversarial focused threat intelligence business, which I'm sure you're aware of. We've talked about previously. So for us, it aligns well with what we believe is part of our core strategy for a business, is helping our government customers really address how to look at the attack vector from the adversary's lens. So from alignment to the overall national security strategy, we believe, I think that's pillar 5 in the overall strategy itself, we believe we've got a sound strategy to be able to help the customer apply some of that, and as well as align to zero trust. It's part of what we think is part of a best practice, is part of their zero trust journey that everyone's on today.
Sure. Yeah, I think one of the key trends we're seeing is that shift left mentality, right? So rather than being reactive to a threat actor, how do we prevent them from getting in entirely? So very much a sense of proactive threat detection. How do we begin to look at threat intelligence to feed how we're preventing those threat actors? How do we begin to reduce the attack surface so they have a minimal means to break in? And I think we're over time here we're going to see customers shift into really focusing on that proactive nature of cyber defense. So, I think with that, there's definitely a set of core technologies and capabilities that help enable that. And, I know for us, CrowdStrike is a very important part of that strategy of bringing some of those more advanced capabilities to traditional security operations. So with that, I would ask you, what are some of the trends that you're seeing out there to help with that strategy?
Great question, Matt. So as many know, a few years ago, the White House released an executive order that was very focused on zero trust. Again, part of our core competencies in terms of our platform at the time focused on EDR. So a number of agencies have done extremely well executing on deploying EDR, which raised their elevation in terms of being able to defend themselves. So we've observed that the detect and response messaging has really, and their capabilities have really improved substantially over the course of the last year. So that's great to see from a practitioner standpoint. And now we're starting to see the customers evolve into more of a mature approach. And again, they're aligning to the zero trust strategy. And there was an update just here recently. I think CISA just released an update the other day.
We're at 2.0 now.
Yeah, we're at 2.0 now. So when customers are evolving through the stages of the maturity model, they start off, at the basic and then the intermediate and more advanced stages. We're seeing customers actually follow that model. So the great news is our defensive cyber defenders are getting much better at the initial defensive piece. Now we have to get them, to your point, on the proactive stance. So we want to get them being able to look at it from what their potential attack surface might look like, because that continues to evolve, as you know very well. So we're promoting attack surface audits as an example to ensure that they truly do understand what their internet-facing assets are. We're also promoting the concept of advanced threat hunting, which you and I talked about yesterday, which follows the zero trust maturity model to more of the advanced stages. So the trend that I can see based on talking with a number of CISOs and CIOs across the board in the majority of the federal civilian space, they're all following the guidelines and they're making some solid improvements.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of interesting, with the deployment of EDR and XDR, how, now agencies really have better situational awareness of what's happening, within their enterprise, right? So I'm always a big proponent of, you can't defend what you don't know you have.
Right.
Well, now they somewhat know what they have, right?
Sure.
And I think one of the bigger takeaways from the cyber strategy is that threat landscape is ever increasing. So, now the focus area is critical infrastructure, like operational technology, mission technology, SCADA, ICS. So how do we begin to, ingest that same telemetry, overlay, the right threat intelligence, and proactively defend those types of assets. So, it's a very interesting, I think, cyber way ahead of now beginning to really focus on responding to that threat landscape. So, so I think just one of the questions I have is, talking to a lot of CISOs and CIOs out there, they have a lot of trouble understanding, well, where should I start first? So, just any recommendations on helping them to get to that higher level of maturity?
Sure. We often get asked that question because as customers initially started to adopt EDR, it's a lot, right? It's a lot of capability that most organizations had similar capabilities fragmented across multiple technologies, and they had to synthesize that telemetry data to be able to come up with whatever their reactive strategies would be. But it was just that, it was reactive. Now we've combined a lot of the technology to the point where the visibility and observability characteristics that they need to make informed decisions on how to prioritize is now available for them. So we have a series of recommendations in terms of the crawl, walk, run model, how to begin to improve your overall cyber defender's capabilities through a series of training, et cetera, to up-level their skill set to be able to adapt to, now all of a sudden they have a lot of information.
Yeah.
So it's been an interesting opportunity over the last few years to watch how the workforce has evolved as well. As we all know, we've talked about workforce skills shortages in cyber for quite some time now. We're actually starting to see people really being able to leverage the platform and up-level some of the skill sets. So it's been pretty interesting to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, I know the partnership between us has been excellent related to workforce development, right? So, as you know, we have a lot of cyber defenders supporting a lot of customer programs out there, and just a few months ago, we just did a hackathon together to help elevate how some of our operators, use those tools. So, it's interesting, right? It's like, you can have some of the best capabilities and technologies, in the world, which CrowdStrike definitely does.
Sure.
But then again, we have to train our entire workforce how to best leverage those tools, how to get the best data, how to overlay that threat intelligence. And, it takes time, it takes people, and, we really have to partner together to do that. So,
sure. There's also a trend line where cybersecurity tools have been around by category for decades now, right? And as the existing cyber defenders have become practitioners in the art, as we like to call it, they've become accustomed to certain tool sets and methodologies. Technology continues to advance at a very rapid pace. You and I talked about this yesterday. We're now outpacing, even in cybersecurity, the skill set that's in the field. So, like CrowdStrike as an example, we had conversations yesterday with a CISO where he cited an example that he had to reteach his organization on how to leverage the new tools. So they had to undo the knowledge that they had because the new tools were so sophisticated and gave them so much more information. They had to almost unlearn and relearn a new tool set. So there's also a learning curve associated with the technology innovation curve that we're all in the middle of right now.
Yeah. So lastly, what are some important trends or things or areas of interest that you foresee CrowdStrike engaging in over the next year or so?
Sure. So for us, there's 3 areas that we're counseling and really trying to be that trusted advisor with our customers. It's focusing on what's it look like after EDR, right? So the transition from EDR to XDR and what that actually means for them. The second area is identity. So we talked about this as well. So identity security, not to be confused with ICAM, like credentialing management systems, but actually protecting the identity once the credentials are issued and enforcing things like multi-factor authentication based on the user behavior, should they appear anomalous in terms of what the user's doing, and having that ability to be built into the policy is a key area. And then finally, data security. So again, we talked about this yesterday a little bit. DLP, as we all know, has had a bit of a negative reputation for the most part in terms of it being considered complex to actually deploy. So the industry has been evolving very slowly over the last decade with how do we come up with like the next generation data protection capabilities, or DLP. So there's a big initiative at first around encryption. So I think we've finally figured out how to leverage encryption as part of the data protection strategy. But now we're introducing some additional capability around the endpoint that's closer to the user. So from the CrowdStrike perspective, endpoint security, the health of the asset itself, identity, and data security are all being centered on that critical asset that we all use and need to use every day. So a lot of emphasis on EDR to XDR, identity, and then data security going forward.
Awesome. Well, just very, very excited to have CrowdStrike as one of our core partners and to bring a lot of those advanced capabilities to our customers. And I know it's a challenge. To your point, crawl, walk, run, and every day we're helping agencies, get from crawling to walking to running. So
absolutely, we value your partnership. It helps us scale to offer the time to value to our customer, and it's the key premise that we continue to promote to all of our customers is time is not on our side, right? We're operating, looking at a watch versus our adversaries who have all the time in the world to figure out unique ways to potentially attack us. So seconds matter, and we appreciate the partnership and you helping us with our strategy going forward.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.